Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me again here on Dimensions Photography. My name is Emmanuel. Today what we're going to touch up on is how to create a workflow using Lightroom and Photoshop. And that way it'll make your photography work a whole lot easier. So the reason I'm doing this tutorial is because most people, when you begin with photography and you begin editing, you get these programs such as Lightroom and Photoshop. But a lot of times you don't understand how to use them, when to use it, which one's better for what situation. So basically I'm going to show you my workflow, and I hope that through that it's going to help you create your own workflow, which is going to help you with your photography. Alright guys, so let's get right into the video. Also, first off, I hope everybody's end of the year is coming along nice. I do want to thank everybody who has joined the channel from the beginning, even though it is a small channel, but I do want to thank you for every comment, for every like, for any shares that you might have given out. I do definitely want to thank you for joining me during this 2017, and I want to let you know that definitely 2018 is going to have a lot more in store. Alright guys, so you definitely don't want to miss it, and I hope you continue to watch our content. We are recording live. Okay guys, here, so I'm going to show you my basic workflow when I'm using Lightroom and Photoshop. Now I'm going to actually go into a full edit of the picture that I'm going to choose. So I'm definitely going to try to do this as fast as possible. I don't want this to be a half-hour tutorial or video, but I'm just going to show you the basics, how I do it, how I get into it. It's going to be dirty and grimy, but you guys will definitely learn from it. So when you first open up Lightroom, right, you insert your SD card, you're ready to select your pictures, all that good stuff. Make sure that you are here in Library, and then you go to Import. Okay. Once you go to Import, you will see, as soon as this comes up, okay, so here you have your dialog box. Basically these are all the new photos. It says here all photos, new photos, destination folders. I'm just going to click off new photos because there's only a certain few that I want to use for this tutorial. And I put here as copy as DNG. The reason why you want to copy as DNG is because if you do shoot in RAW format, this is going to convert it into a digital negative, which basically will hold your photo, your RAW file, any edits that you do in one file. Okay, so that's what I usually do. So this is already reading my SD card that I have inside my laptop. That's why I'm at this folder. Okay, I am going to go down, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. Okay, and then these are the pictures that I want to work with. So I will be choosing one of these two. You click it. Alright, so here on this side it's going to tell you where it's going to. It's not going to go into my clients folder. It is going to go into my photography. Pictures to edit 2017. And here we have all different dates. Okay. So once you're in the right folder, okay, sorry, once you go into the right folder, then you go up to here. It says put into subfolder. I'm going to click off, and then I'm going to put into one folder, and then by date, and it's just going to put it by date, these pictures. Okay, and I'm going to hit import. It is going to take a little bit of time to import it and then convert to a digital negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fast forward it a little bit. Okay, that was enough of the wait, so let's get right back into it. So then here you have whichever pictures that you uploaded. Then this is when you're going to start doing your edits. Okay, so we're going to go into develop. Okay, this is where you can do all of your edits. If you haven't used Lightroom before, you definitely want to be in the develop module. Okay, like I said before, I'm doing this live, so you are definitely going to see some lag. Okay, so first here what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at both pictures and then see which one I want. There's actually a picture of my dad and my little brother. Okay, I'm gonna go with this photo just because there is no motion blur here. Okay, so basically what I do here is once I'm in Lightroom, so the first thing that I would usually do is I would crop. If you see here, this line is bothering me a lot, this whole image area, so I want to get that out the way. So I'm going to go here to my crop overlay. Okay, I'm going to make sure that this is locked because I want to keep the same ratio, the same dimensions, same size. And I'm going to scale down. Okay, right about just outside the line. Okay. And this is pretty much it. I might want to straighten it a little bit. You can do that just by dragging over, and that looks pretty. A little bit off. Okay, I mean, y'all get the point. That looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to hit done. Okay, now that I have the crop that I want, now that I have the image, so I'm just going to go into basic color correction and then see what I get out of this. So I would usually play with the temperature here a little bit just to see how it looks if I warm it up. Sorry, it's a bit slow. Okay. So if I warm it up a little bit, it doesn't look too well. Let me cool it down. This looks a lot better. Just because we do have the blue lights in the back. Okay, I like something like that. Keep the same tone going. I might throw in a little bit of magenta just to get some color back into their skin. Okay, and then here, so you have the exposure. Usually I don't touch exposure too much just because I think I take my photos well exposed. Okay, so contrast, I'll just test it out to see if I'm going for a dark look or a little bit of a lighter. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I do want to get those shadows and shades in there. Okay, going to see what the highlights do to my little buttons in the back. Right, not too much, so I'm going to keep the highlights centered. Okay, I'm going to bring the shadows up just a little bit just so I can get more detail in the back. And it'll just bring out a lot better background for the color. The whites, what I do with these two tabs, basically the whites and blacks, they do pretty much the same as highlights and shadows. But what I do is just to make sure that no color's blown out. So if you hold Alt and this, you can see whatever's lit in white is pretty much blown out. So I just try to make sure that it's not blown out, and then whatever you see like that in black means it's past true black, so it's pretty much just mud. Alright, so I'll go in here. I'll definitely play with the vibrance. I'll bring it up a little bit to get a little bit deeper in the colors, make that pop a little bit. Throw a little bit of clarity, even though usually clarity doesn't help too much with facial features, so I'm going to bring it down actually. There we go. You have your curves here. I'm not going to touch that for this example. Actually, you know what? I will, just to show you a quick thing that you can do just to brighten up the image. You hold this in the middle, bring this right up. Okay, and make sure you get all your highlights and details. Okay, this is basically what I'll do. I'll come in here, play with the colors a little bit. If I don't want that blue, I'll go here into my hues. If I pull it all the way through, you see I'll get that green. Now you can tell this is definitely fake, so I'm not going to do that. However, I will throw in some teal in there, and then you have your luminance. Just brighten things up a bit, and I think this is looking pretty good. I might throw in some orange just for the skin tone. Let me see. Yeah, definitely won't saturate all the way up. I'll bring it in just a little bit. Something like that looks good. Bring it down a little bit more. Okay. And that's it. That's pretty much it. What I do also, if it is a low light shot, I apologize. I might do some basic sharpening here. I showed you in a different tutorial how to do that. I would bring this up and alt click here, just so that I make sure that I get the details on the face only. There you go. Okay, got some good sharpening, and I'll always bring this up, usually I would say about 14 around there. And that's just if there is any noise, it's just going to make the picture a lot more smoother and butterier. Okay, so guys, so this is pretty much how it's done. I would go into Lightroom, and these would be my basic adjustments and basic settings that I would do, so that once I have this picture, there's still some things that I would want to do just to fix up basically I would say some wrinkles here, and then maybe I'll just bring in a vignette just to bring in more life to the face. And then I'll show you how I'll do that, okay? So here you want to right click on your image. Actually, let me show you before and after, backslash. This is the before image, forward and backslash is after. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and go to edit in Photoshop. So this also takes a little bit of time. Just bear with it so that it will open. Just make sure you do have Photoshop open first and then do this. That way it'll just make the transition a whole lot easier instead of opening the program and then opening the image to edit, okay? So what this is doing is it's opening up a file with the edits that I just made in Lightroom, and like I mentioned, it will take a little bit of time. Let's see if we get through this. So I'm definitely trying to get through this tutorial in one shot, first try. I'm not trying to do anything more than that. Just because it is late at night, which is when I usually record my tutorials, but I definitely want to get this going. Alright, so it is taking long. I mean, it is a large file size. And then I'll show you a quick trick. If you are going to be editing in Photoshop, if you're going to be loading it up into Instagram and things of that nature, you don't need a full file size. Right now, these pictures are 4,000 by 6,000 pixels. That's, 4K quality. We don't need that. That you would only need that large of a file size if you're definitely going to print. And I'm talking about print as in large scale printing, like an ad. Like if you're going to do a 5-foot ad or something, I don't know. It's just too much, okay? So I'm going to show you how is it a setting to make it easier to edit these large files once you get into Photoshop, okay? So here I have my image. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to, if it lets me. I'm going to go to image, and then I'm going to go to mode, Then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it to 8 bits channel. I'll explain that later. It just lowers it a little bit so it's easier to work with. And then what I'm going to do is image size. So image size, like I mentioned, this is too big. This is the original image. It's huge. Look at that. We don't need that. Alright, so we're going to fit just do 8 by 10 and 300 dpi. Okay, so basically what we did now, we just took that huge image and we made it smaller, so now it's a lot easier to work with. If you hit Control and the plus sign, you can zoom back in. Okay, good. So once we're in here, basically I'll do my other edits, which is retouching. So first I'll hit Control and J. It's going to open up a new layer. That way I'll have the original layer down here in case I mess up or do anything that I do not want to do. Okay, so basically on this one what I'm going to do is just light retouch. I'm not going to go into full details on how I retouch. But as you know, you have all your adjustments here if you do want to do anything else. So basic things that I do is just dodging and burning, and I'll show you how I do that using the curves adjustment. So in curves, I'll pull this out. Then what I would do is I would bring this up, okay, till I get some extra light in there. And then what I'm going to do is using the mask here, Control I. Okay, that's going to erase it, and then I'll bring up my brush. Alright, let me soften that up. Okay, so I have my brush for doing any dodging and burning that I want to do. Make sure that you are selected to white so that I can work on this black, right? So I'm going to come in and just lighten up. The reason why I like doing dodging and burning this way is because it's non-destructive, which means I can go back and do anything I want to do. And then also it helps already clean up the face. I mean, this is a baby's face, you don't really have to do it, but I'll just brighten him up a little bit. But it helps clean up as it brightens. Get all up in there. Like I mentioned, I'm just going to do basic. I'm not going to go crazy. A little bit on the clothes. So right now, I only have my flow at 34, so it does take a little bit. I'm not doing too much adjustment to it, but if you want to see, if I click here, you can definitely see the differences from the areas that I'm brightening. Okay, so that's how I would do. I would add in the highlights, then I would take care of some of these dark areas. So I would do another curves adjustment. I'll bring this down. Okay, to get some darks in there. And I'll do the same. Then I'll Control I, turn this to black, make sure I have white set, and then I'm going to do my dodging and burning on the other parts of the face. And basically, as you know, dodging and burning just helps give more contour. It makes it more contrasty. Yeah, it just gives more depth to the image. I'm going to come in here and separate, okay? And as you see, if I take this off, you can definitely see the difference, okay? And then lastly, so what I'll do on top of this, I'm going to add a new layer. Then I usually don't use this technique, but I'll do it for this sake, and that's the mixer brush. You want to make sure everything is as low as it can be. This seems pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample let's see, this color, and I'm just going to brush it onto this area. Oh, excuse me again. And that's going to help clear up a bit. Let me see. You can see the difference. It's definitely smoothing out the face a lot. Okay, then you want to go back to the image. I want to sample this color. Just make sure you get the right colors on the right part of the face. That way you are getting correctly. So I'm not going to get into every detail and zoom in and all that good stuff. I'm just not going to do that for this tutorial. I'll save it for another one. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit of brush in there, as you can see. It's helping clear out the ridges. Now I'm going to come back in. I'm going to get these darks. Okay, just so you can see what you're sampling, it'll come up here. It's the area I'm sampling. It's a little bit darker. Okay, if I click, you can see the difference. Okay, that's pretty much what I would do as far as retouching goes, and then how I would use it. So let's see if I would just add a little bit of last bit sharpening. So what I would do here is Control Shift Alt and then E. What that's going to do is add another layer with all the adjustments right on top. And then this is the one that I'm going to sharpen. So I'm going to go to Select, Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. Okay, and that's definitely way too much. I'm going to bring this down, usually about 70%. And then the threshold, I'm definitely bringing down. If I click off the preview, you can see the difference. Yeah, I don't need too much on this one. This actually came out really sharp. Just a little bit. Let me bring this up. Alright, that's good. Let's make sure everything's in place. So basically, guys, this is it. So now the best part about this is that once you have it here, you can either hit Control Save, or if you X out of here, it's going to ask you to save. So what you want to do is you want to save the project. The reason is because it's going to automatically update this file into your Lightroom. Because if you see, you open it up here as a .tiff. .tiff is basically a JPEG with, it's kind of another way of a raw file, but it allows you to play with all the edits and go back and edit. Okay, so now that I saved it, so I'm going to open up Lightroom. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. So now I have two images. One is the DNG file, right? And then the other one is the TIFF. So this is the one that I did the edits on. The other one is not. So if I hit left, this is the one without edit. This is before I went into Photoshop. Okay, and then this is after I went into Photoshop. Sorry, it's not as clear. Okay, so we have this going on. One last thing that I would do. So once I go in here, once I bring it back before I complete it, I might crop it again if I didn't crop it at the beginning. But this time what I'm going to add is just a vignette. I'm going to do that with a radial filter. Okay, and just going to bring something like that. Alright, so right now what it's affecting is my saturation, just because on the last tutorial that's what I was playing with. Okay, and then what I usually do for my vignette is I would just bring down the exposure. And as you guys can see, it's already doing a fantastic job of just isolating them and make sure that they're the ones that come out. Then what I can do here, since this does have lights, I can bring up the highlights. Since it's only affecting the outside area, just so that I can darken it, but then also bring out still some of that light. So if you didn't see what I did, if I go before and then after, you can see that vignette definitely holds nice, and it gives a beautiful ring around our subjects right there. I mean, you can continue to play with it with the contrast, among other things. Something like that is good. I mean, you'll find out your style, what you like. Okay, so then once you hit done, so what I usually do here is, once I have my image, I think it's ready, I think it's good, so I would right click and then I go to export. Since I already have a preset, which I call Instagram, it just uploads it to exactly how I want. So if you don't have a preset, you will go into export. Okay, and I'm doing this for you guys. So what I'm going to do, either way, I'm going to click my preset here. What it's going to do, it already has the folder. So you choose a folder where you want it to output. Sorry. You name the file. You can leave it as the same file name or something else. Okay, file settings. Since it is for web, it's just sRGB. Quality doesn't have to be that much. Width and height, 1080 by 1080. That's the perfect, from what I understood, Instagram size. Resolution 72. You don't need any more higher because it's not read on screens. And then output sharpening. Sharpen for screen just a little bit. It adds a little bit more sharpening. And that's it. So then you would hit export. So I already have it set. So once it exports, it's going to open up my Creative Cloud folder, which is where I hold all of my pictures. Okay. And it's going to open up that folder. Once it finishes exporting, it says it finished, but I guess there it is. So we'll open up my Creative Cloud folder. That's where I have all my other images. Alright. And then I would double click here. To open up the image, just so that I can be able to see it on a full screen, fully sharpened, exported. This is basically my JPEG. This is what you will call the final product. And then after that, you're definitely going to just want to save it onto your phone and then upload it onto any of your social media. So here it is, the final product as we have it, guys. Okay, and that's pretty much, so this is my workflow of how I use Lightroom and Photoshop together. This is the way that I use it. It just makes everything a lot more smoother, and some things are easier to do in Lightroom, some things are easier to do in Photoshop. But to keep it simple, and this is the basic workflow that I would use. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I definitely hope you enjoyed it. Alright, so there you have it guys. So that's basically my workflow. As you see, I always bring all my photos in first into Lightroom. I export it into the program, organize it how I see fit. And then there I'll basically do all of my color corrections, basic editing, make sure that the image looks right. I also do the cropping there, whether before or after I'm done. And then basically when I take it into Photoshop, the only reason I do that is for just a little bit more detailed color correction. You know, using colors in dual tone, shadows and highlights, for sharpening, and then definitely for fixing up any retouching, facial features, brighten the eyes, things like that. Okay guys, so let me know, what did you think about my workflow? That's basically how I use it when I do use Lightroom and Photoshop together. Also let me know, how do you use it? Maybe I can also learn something from you guys. Okay, so again, if you did like this content, then please give us a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below of what did you think about my workflow. And then also, if you haven't subscribed already, I definitely do recommend that you guys do subscribe. That way you can get the notification every time we upload a new tip, trick, or tutorial. And we usually have new videos up every Friday, every Sunday, and then also every Monday. I know I haven't been as consistent, but I would definitely be trying my best to get that content out there for you guys. Okay, again, this is Emmanuel from Dimensions Photography, trying to help you bring your photography to higher levels. Alright guys, so remember, keep smiling, keep sharing, and keep shooting, and I will snap at you later.